Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show here on WKYC. I know that the Browns pick number 2, and there is a very distinct possibility that Tennessee takes a quarterback at number 1. They need one also. Let's just, for the sake of this conversation, say that they had their choice, and it was them with the number 1 pick, and they were absolutely certain that they were going to take a quarterback. Do you guys get a sense that they're more in love with one of these quarterbacks over the other? And don't just limit it to Ward or Sanders. Maybe they think someone down the line is going to be the best quarterback.
Yeah, I think they like Shedeur Sanders. When you analyze and look at it, most people have Cam Ward ahead of Shedeur Sanders. However, I think they like Shedeur Sanders' makeup a little more. I think that they like the fact that he's a little more cerebral. I think they would like the fact that he's been under Pat Shurmur, who's been an offensive coordinator in the NFL and in college for a long time. And I think that Shedeur Sanders is able to do it with not very many people around him. Like, you know, when he came from HBCU in Jackson State, he came there with him, Jimmy Horn, and Travis Hunter. Now, those guys are going to be draftable, but besides that, no offensive line, not many draftable guys besides those positions. And I think, you know, he doesn't have a tremendous arm. He has a good enough arm. He doesn't have a rocket by any stretch of the imagination, but he makes good decisions when he does throw the ball. He does hold the ball a little bit more, but I think they feel like Shedeur Sanders is more ready to play earlier when Cam Ward might have a little more upside, Jason.
Jay?
Kevin Stefanski's been trying to run the 49ers offense for years. Mm-hmm. It's the Gary Kubiak system. And what you need most is accuracy and don't throw it to the other team. To me, that's Shedeur. So I don't know if that's who they're going to take or not, but a 75% completion percentage for the most part doesn't throw it to the other team. You know, are there flaws there? Yes, there are flaws there. But, I mean, when you grow up the kid of Deion Sanders, you've been around pressure your entire life.
Yeah.
You've been in the spotlight your entire life. You know what it's like to deal with that. So I don't think he's a kid that would get rattled. I don't know that necessarily I would want them to pick him at number 2. But if you're telling me these are the guys to choose from because of how accurate he is, because of how tough he is, because he tends to make good decisions with the ball, I think that would probably be their top guy.
I think we've said on this show, and I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I've long believed that the 2 most important positions in football are quarterback and the guy that gets after the quarterback. Because the guy that gets after the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, who is the best at doing that, has requested a trade, you now are looking at things entirely differently. You might have been looking at the draft saying, well, we've got that position covered. Now we've got to get the most important position covered. Suddenly, there is a real possibility that you do have to move him, and now you're without the 2 most important positions in football. And if that's the way you're looking at it and saying, which of those 2 positions is the most likely hit coming from? Like the can't miss. And I think it's Abdul Carter. I think it's the defensive end from Penn State. So I know it doesn't answer this question directly, and I'll get to that in a second. If I'm the Browns, I've got to get this right. I can't miss, because if I miss, I'm out. I'm taking Abdul Carter. I'm addressing the quarterback either later in the draft or more likely next year when there's just there's more fruit on the tree next year. All of that being said, I'm beginning I think I've come around to your way of thinking. I think there's a lot of flags that say Tennessee's going to take Cam Ward. And I think the Browns are going to overreach, and they're going to try to get the quarterback because they think that's more important than the defensive end. So I'm getting some vibes that they are going to draft Shedeur Sanders. I said on the YouTube show that I talked to Nathan Zegura last night. I like Nathan a lot. I trust his opinion. He is really, really high on Shedeur Sanders for the reasons you said. He plugs and plays into Kevin's offense better than anybody else in this draft because of the accuracy and because of the decision-making. He also talked about how tough this guy is. He said this dude played behind arguably the worst defensive line in power football last year.
Yeah.
He got absolutely cremated.
No running game.
No running game. And everybody knew what they were going to do. He was going to drop back and throw the ball. It was interesting because the 3 of us were having a conversation, myself, Nathan, and Chris Rose. And Chris on our show last week said, do not take Shedeur Sanders. He doesn't have the athleticism that you think. You think it's Deion's kid. He's going to be Deion at quarterback. No, he's not. And he's right on that. I don't think he's a bad athlete.
No.
I think he's middle of the road athlete.
He'd be average.
He'd be average
enough to
amongst
enough to move up in the pocket.
He wouldn't be an immobile quarterback, but he also wouldn't be. If you think you're getting Lamar Jackson or even Josh Allen in terms of scramble, and you're not getting that guy. So, but I am getting vibes that they are going to go with Shedeur Sanders, and I hope that for the next 10 years they don't have to watch Abdul Carter win Defensive Player of the Year awards and be a sack leader for somebody else. That's my fear. But as you guys know from watching the show, I live in my fears. And I very much think about my fears before I think logically. All right.